You're listening to Vedge Your Best. There has never been a more important time to be vegan. At Vedge Your Best, I want to help you. I want to help you limit and eliminate the consumption of animal products without feeling deprived, overwhelmed, or unsupported, even if no one you know is vegan. My name's Michelle Olander. I'm a life coach, and I know that if I could go vegan in my 50s with all my excuses, I know you can start moving in that direction too. Veg your best, and there's nothing you can't do. Episode 175. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Welcome back, my Veg Your Besties. Welcome, and if you're new here, please, you're very welcome. I'm Michelle Olander, and it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Many apologies to Taylor Swift, but that is, I think, the special power of Ms. Swift. She's able to channel some level of the universal in her lyrics. And this week at the top of the new year, that's my theme. I'm the problem. It's me. And that's not to say that there aren't very big problems out there. Lots of problems that aren't me, because there are. There's war and illness and corruption and violence and pollution and unsafe drinking water and government intrusion into medical privacy. But all the more reason to notice when it's partially or mostly me, when I'm the problem, when it's Michelle. When it's Michelle, okay, it wasn't Michelle that started the issue, maybe. Maybe I inherited the issue, or maybe I ended up with the issue in my lap. But now it's me, Michelle, who might be busy, well, blaming or deflecting or bemoaning the issue in a way that just blocks the resources and the problem-solving capacity that I do have. And it sucks up the time that I do have. And, this year, I really want to be focusing a lot about what I do want in my life, because I'm coming up on, probably the last 35 years or so of my life. So what do I want to do? What do I want to do for these next 35 years so as not to waste it on Michelle-made problems? Now, one of the most unnecessary and exhausting of those Michelle-made problems, right now at least, is not doing what I tell myself I'm going to do, and often frittering away my time with mainly unimportant details that don't actually have to be done, and then ending up trying to cram the things that are much more special or much more important to me into deadlines and last-minute time crunches. Now, in fairness to me, it's partially the way I think I'm wired. I do have an attention deficit diagnosis. I do think I have a brain that's a little bit non-linear. But I see that it's also a way I have learned and compensated to solve some of the anxiety I have about things that are really important to me, that I really want to do, but I'm afraid of doing poorly. Well, like this podcast and my writing. So if I run out of time, well, then I have an excuse. And if I run out of time, at least with the podcast, I just need to get on it and get it out. That last frenzied bit of time before it has to, before I have to download it and send it off to my producer, Charlie, so that he has time to edit the podcast and to post it. But that's not even a perfect solution, because right up until the time that I go into that frenzy get it done mode, it is living unfinished and messy in the back of my brain and spirit. That there are these unfinished things that I said I would do, something I told myself that I would do, and that I didn't. Now, with the podcast, I have I have these deadlines in place, and I have Charlie, who has his own schedule and deadlines that I need to be mindful of. But as for my writing and some of the planning and Instagram and blog posts and things like this, which I really love to do, I say I love to do. I think I love having done them anyway. But there are no hard and fast deadlines with so many of those things. And, I've told myself I want to do them. I've told myself I will do them. But they don't have an external deadline. And so it's not even getting the relief of that last minute frenzied get it done. It just more or less semi-permanently lives in the back of my brain and spirit. And it tends to create, or I tend to create around it, this disempowering narrative. Michelle's so disorganized. Michelle's not that serious. I must not really want to do it. Maybe I don't have it in me. It's always the same with me, isn't it? I can't trust myself. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. But of course, that disempowering narrative is actually optional when we think about it, right? It's just the story I tell about something I'm having trouble doing. And maybe you have some of those disempowering stories in the back of your brain. Some narratives you've created that explain what's wrong with you as we enter 2024. Maybe there are some regrets or ideas you've dropped, or plans you've had trouble executing, or habits that you've lost momentum on over the last months, or years, or decades. Or like me, there may be some areas where your procrastination cycle looks really like a cycle. It looks like promising yourself you'll do it differently from this day forward, then avoiding doing it, then running out of time and just cramming it in seconds before a deadline. Promise, avoid, cram, repeat. It's really unpleasant. I find it really unpleasant, but it's really important to know that these cycles like procrastination, avoidance, overwhelm, they are so normal. We don't see how everybody else has it someplace or another. They're so normal. They're such a human cycle. It's such a human cycle. And a lot of us, I think, have been socialized to think that these are examples of our weakness, that they are evidence of some laziness and a sort of moral failing and unreliability. But as we go into the new year, you and I together here at Vedge Best, let's just be curious. Let's be curious where it's you, where you're the problem. It's you. Because the good news is that if I'm the problem, if you're the problem, we can actually do something about that. And if it didn't matter to us, it wouldn't be bugging us. In general, I think most of the things that we're dragging around behind us, it's something we do need to come to terms with, either to drop it, let it go, or to figure it out together. The first thing I think we should do is turn it into a math problem or a science problem. This is not a character problem. This is not a worthiness problem. It's more like an accounting problem. Something I'm doing is not adding up to the result I'm after. Maybe something you're doing or not doing is not creating the outcome you want. So this is just a place, I think, to begin with, especially here, the beginning of the year. It's a place for curiosity, not condemnation. That's the way I think we should start this year. Compassion and curiosity, especially if there are things you don't even want to mention out loud anymore that you want. If there are things that have been on your to-do list for so long that you really don't even believe in setting goals. It's not even that you don't believe you can do that thing. You have turned away from the idea of setting goals or believing in yourself that you can create something new. I know so many people that have done this. People who have completely given up on making plans or setting goals because they no longer believe in themselves. For some of us, it's less painful to just give up on creating something special or new or different. It's less painful to give up on the whole concept than it is to hope anymore. And I felt that too. I can relate. I can. I still drag around a bunch of that old programming. I just know it's there. I think some of us think it's just the way it is. I still drag around a bunch of that programming, and if there's one thing that has changed my life more than anything else, it was coaching. It was creating a practice of a sort of mental hygiene practice that's made the ups and downs of trying and learning and creating and taking on new things and sometimes failing, it's made it almost fun. It's made it more like a game, more like a sport that you're training for because you love it, because you don't expect a game or a sport you're training for to only be a 45-degree angle on a graph with no ups and downs. You do it because you want the experience. Creating a vegan practice and then committing to it back in, well, the commitment really took place in 2015 when I was 56. Well, that was that sort of training. It was, a bunch of you reached out to me about this idea of training from episode 172. It was called Don't Try to Be Vegan, Train. And ever since I've recorded it, that distinction between trying and training has been on my mind. It's been on my mind a lot because there's something, I think there's something about all of us that looks at someone who's doing the thing we think we want to do. We look at that person who seems to be making all the moves and living in some sort of commitment to that thing we want. And we compare our before to their after. And we discount all the training that they've done because it's invisible to us. We see their after and we see ourselves before. The training one person needs for any goal also is just not the same as anyone else. We all have different areas where we are experienced and where we've exercised and where we've learned certain kinds of muscles emotionally or intellectually or mentally. Some people have all kinds of different skills. Some people have more time available. And some people are willing to make more time available. Some people can afford to pay for extra coaching, and some people are willing to take on an extra job or a loan to afford classes or a university. Some people have more flexible muscles, stronger bones, better eyesight. Some people have longer arms. All those things count for certain things, right? Some of us have more family support. Some of us live in countries that are not at war. And some of us have reliable access to clean water and nutritious food or have benefited from more education or more access to medical care. All of those things make a difference. All of them, they do make a difference. But how many of us have many of those advantages and we're still feeling stuck? We're still feeling stuck, even with many of the blessings of life in a country that is at peace and has access to so many things. And I think it's this myth in our society that you've either got it or you don't. You're either disciplined or you aren't. I'm either athletic or I'm not, creative or not, a fixed mindset. We've talked about that way back somewhere along the line, a fixed mindset. This fixed mindset discounts the role of training and practice and incremental growth in belief And it's what Angela Duckworth has called the growth mindset. So when we're thinking, nope, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me, that can really be good news. I think it is good news if it's actually something you want to change or do or take on, even if, like me, you are not in that first full flush of youth. Training is not limited to the young. A growth mindset is not just for kids or adolescents. This year, 2024, I turned 65. It hasn't happened yet. It's halfway through the year in June. I'll turn 65. I have more goals and plans and ideas now than at any time in my life. And I have plenty of baggage. I have lots of failures that I drag around behind me. I've compared it to dragging it around behind me like Marley's ghost. But one of the greatest gifts of having changed my life by moving in a vegan direction in my 50s, really among the great unexpected benefits was seeing how much I, Michelle Olander, am still capable of, how much I can still change my life. And that's why I show up here every week, because some of you are thinking those opportunities are over. That's why I created Vedge Your Best, to keep you company, even if you're not ready to go completely vegan or plant-based or whole food plant-based or any other goal. I'm here to keep you company and hold space for you when you're ready to start taking on something new just for you. In my mom's generation, my mom was born in 35, I think. Anyway, in my mother's generation, I remember them talking, accepted wisdom was some people could swim and some people just couldn't. It was just how it was. Some people's bodies would swim, some people's bodies wouldn't. And you didn't really know until somebody threw you in the pond and they had to fish you out or you swam. Kind of a traumatic way of finding out. So it was the way most people thought. But slowly, through the 20th century, mostly through the Red Cross community swimming lessons, there was an idea that we could train kids, we could train adults to actually swim in small, incremental, accessible, organized steps. Now, of course, some people took to it faster. Of course, some people will always probably take to certain things faster. But the Red Cross swimming lessons basically proved that everyone gets the skills if they stick with the training. And this year, I'd like you to have that in the back of your mind because it's a new year. It's a fresh year. And yes, you probably already have a lot you need to do on your list. And you probably already have a lot of ideas and evidence for those ideas of what you are capable of and what you're not capable of. And if you're feeling like there's something that you just can't do, and it's been proven, I would say if you want to do it, let's try again. Let's create the training that you need to make that small, incremental, accessible, organized progress. You just need some support and the structure to make it inevitable. And if we were going to do that, what would it be? What would it be? What would it be, and what's made it really hard for you in the past? Or why has it fallen off your list in the past? Or why have you lost momentum about it in the past? Training, strategy, that's all about figuring out those obstacles and creating a plan that takes them into account, taking those obstacles into account, not just wishing them away, not just thinking that they shouldn't matter or wouldn't matter to somebody else who was better at it. I was listening to a college coach recently saying that in training, his athletes work on strengthening their weaknesses and challenges, which every player has. But in competition, he has them play to their strengths. This is kind of my idea too, with Vedge Your Best, with the Vedge Your Best methodology. We figure out what's easy. And then we figure out what's really hard, what's challenging. Whether it's starting the vegan practice, whether it's creating any other new lifestyle, we methodically create a compassionate and gradual strategy to train for the challenges and the obstacles. But we concentrate on living day to day with our strengths. So yes, it's fun. Yes, you enjoy your life. And yes, the problem might be you and me, but the good news is that the solution is also you and me. So, kids, if there's something you feel kind of discouraged about, something you don't even want to mention anymore out loud, whether it's eating plant-based, whether it's your creative goals, or building any other aspect of your life, it works the same way. It does. It's the process that's the reward. And it doesn't have to be a slog. Your goals do not have to be some sort of evidence of failures or sticks to beat yourself with. We can do this. We can. And next week, we'll talk about some of my wins and losses from this last year and some of the lessons and takeaways from those wins and losses. And there were wins and there were, well, if not losses, there were maybe fails, maybe fails. Maybe that's the way to put it. But they are not gone. My failures have been an opportunity for me to reflect on, what do I need to tweak? What do I need to concentrate on? Maybe I'm aiming in the wrong direction. So we'll talk about that next week. And as always, let me know what's come up for you. Is there someone in your life? Is there someone you know who's feeling a little discouraged this new year? Please share this podcast with them. And until next week, Vedge Your Best.
Vedge Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Vedge Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and Vedge Your Best.